Can the best team of the last 2 years survive the biggest regulatory change in modern F1 history? Today we explain why McLaren could go from being the absolute dominator to the most lost team of 2026. Subscribe to continue uploading more of this type of content now, if we continue. For years, McLaren was a team that oscillated between hope and frustration. After a decade of broken promises, strategic errors, and inconsistent designs, the 2024 season marked a historic turning point. The Woking team emerged with renewed strength, guided by a stable technical structure and clear direction under Andrea Stella. Their car, the MCL38, represented not only a technical breakthrough, but also a statement of principles. McLaren was back to win. On the track, the execution was just as impressive. They won in Australia, dominated with strategy in China, and maintained the championship lead without needing to look for spectacular times. The confidence in his package was total. They didn't need to prove anything on the timetable. Just keep adding. McLaren's performance became a benchmark. The rivals carefully observed every fin, every degradation pattern, every technical gesture of the MCL39. But what no one could anticipate was that, just when they were at the top, a storm was approaching that would test everything they had built. The FIA's announcement about the 2026 regulations fell like an earthquake in the paddock. For McLaren, it was more than a technical challenge. It was an existential threat. The ground effect, the backbone of its success, would be eliminated completely. The cars would return to a design that radically departed from a concept on which they had based 3 years of development. The physical dimensions would change. Aerodynamics would be active. The power unit would double its electrical dependence. And all of McLaren's technical and philosophical advantages would be trapped in the past. From that moment on, the team was no longer racing just to win in 2025. They were racing against time, against uncertainty, and against the possibility that their present dominance was just a fleeting illusion before a new cycle, one for which they may not be prepared. In Formula One, being the best does not always mean having more privileges. Sometimes winning also means carrying a penalty that can jeopardize the future. And in the case of McLaren, the paradox is as brutal as it is precise. The more they earn today, the fewer tools they will have to build the car of tomorrow. This is the logic behind the FIA's ATR system, and for McLaren, this system may become its main obstacle heading into 2026. ATR stands for Aerodynamic Testing Restrictions. It is a mechanism that the FIA implemented to level the playing field. In a sport where the budget is already limited by the budget cap, this system also seeks to limit aerodynamic development resources, time in the wind tunnel, use of CFD, computer simulations, test geometries, and hours of occupancy in facilities. That is everything that allows a team to explore new concepts, refine details, and reduce tense invisible to the human eye. Under this system, teams that finish higher in the Constructors' Championship receive less development time. It's a mathematical punishment for being successful. And McLaren, having won the 2025 title, has been sentenced to the lowest possible percentage, just 70% of the total allowed. In comparison, Ferrari, which finished fourth, will have 85%. And more lagging teams, such as Alpine or the newcomers Cadillac and Audi, will receive up to 115%. This difference is not symbolic. It is tangible, measurable, strategically devastating. To understand the magnitude of this disadvantage, it is enough to look at the specific figures. During a bi-monthly aerodynamic test cycle, McLaren will be able to do 256 wind tunnel runs. Ferrari will be able to make 32 more, and Audi 112 more. The same goes for wind on time, where McLaren has 64 hours versus 92 for the new teams. In terms of CFD simulation, McLaren will be able to test 1,600 new geometries per cycle, while the laggards will be able to reach up to 2,300. Under normal conditions, with a stable and known regulation, this limitation could be manageable. McLaren could rely on previous experience, the evolution of its concept, and marginal optimization. But 2026 is not a normal year. It is a total reinvention. All the accumulated knowledge about ground effect, under chassis airflows, and Venturi tunnels will be discarded. All teams start from scratch. And in that scenario, having more testing time equals having more opportunities to make mistakes, correct, and eventually get it right. Neil Holdy, technical director of McLaren, hinted at this in recent statements. The team made a drastic decision, prematurely abandoned the development of the MCL39, its current car, to focus on the 2026 concept. Why? Because every minute in the wind tunnel, every CFD iteration, had to be used with surgical precision. They couldn't waste even a simulation. And continuing to develop a car under a regulation that is about to die would have been a waste of gold in a world of scarcity. The most dangerous thing for McLaren is not external competition. It's the small margin of error you face. If Red Bull or Ferrari make a concept mistake in the early stages, they have more capacity to test alternatives. They can iterate more, explore more configurations, make up ground. McLaren, on the other hand, will have to bet with fewer cards in hand. And in a new regulation where uncertainty reigns, that can be fatal. The most alarming thing is that this imbalance can become a negative cycle. If McLaren fails in 2026, it will finish lower in the championship. But that would mean having more hours by 2027, while its rivals consolidate an already mature base with more accumulated time. And if Woking are caught in that cycle, their current golden age could evaporate faster than it began. In short, McLaren does not only compete against Ferrari, Mercedes, or Red Bull, it also competes against the FIA's invisible stopwatch, a system that rewards those who fall and punishes those who win. And although the intention is noble to equalize the grid, the result could be that the most brilliant team of the last era ends up fighting for survival, simply because they have triumphed too much. One of the most sacred principles in motorsports is technical continuity. The great dynasties in Formula One have been built on the basis of accumulated knowledge, a constant process of iteration, learning, and improvement. The dominant teams not only have the best cars, but also the ability to build on their own experience. In that sense, McLaren had reached the pinnacle of technical understanding of the ground effect era. And now, all that will be swept away with a stroke of the pen. The MCL 39 was not just a fast car. It was the culmination of a 3-year process in which McLaren unraveled, layer by layer, the most complex secrets of ground effect aerodynamics. They learned to keep the car low without sacrificing stability, to manipulate airflow with surgical precision under the chassis, to resist porpoising without losing downforce. Every wing, every channel, every centimeter of the car's floor was designed to generate a perfect balance between efficiency, load, and speed. But with the arrival of Regulation 2026, that entire book of technical wisdom will become irrelevant. The FIA has decreed the total elimination of Venturi tunnels. The architecture that allowed almost half of the downforce to be generated through ground effect will disappear. Instead, the cars will again employ a flat-bottom design, similar to the 2017 to 2021 era. However, the context will not be the same. This is not a return to the past, but a transition towards a new paradigm, active aerodynamics. And this is not a simple improvement to the DRS system. It's a completely different philosophy to how a car behaves on the track. The front and rear spoilers will be mobile and will change configuration automatically depending on the type of curve or straight. The so-called straight mode will open both ailerons to minimize drag and make the most of the hybrid power. Corner mode, on the other hand, will close the aerodynamic profiles to maximize grip and stability. It is a system that is more reminiscent of aviation than traditional F1. This change has massive implications for the car's design. Every inch of aerodynamic flow will have to be rethought. Engineers will have to discover from scratch how the new moving surfaces react to the air, how they interact with a shorter, narrower chassis with fewer tires. It is no longer just a matter of design. It is a matter of complete reinvention of the concept of speed. For McLaren, this represents a direct threat to its greatest strength. Their current dominance is based on having optimized a concept that will no longer exist. And unlike Red Bull, which for years has had more flexible technical base, McLaren bet everything on the purity of ground effect. They renounced mixed solutions. They bet on maximum efficiency under a specific regulation. And that bet was a winner until it stopped having value. Furthermore, the change is not only aerodynamic. The power unit will also be redesigned. The elimination of the MGUH will simplify hybrid systems, but at the same time, the electrical power will triple, reaching 350 kilowatts. This means that cars will have to balance two power sources with equal prominence, thermal engine and electric motor. And that energy balance will directly affect the chassis design, weight distribution, cooling, and the performance map of the car. Do you think McLaren is ready for this transition, or are we seeing the beginning of the end of its golden era? Can a team maintain its competitive DNA even when the entire technical board is reset? Or will he end up a victim of the same rules that helped him rise to the top? Subscribe to continue uploading more of that content. Now you really think about all this.